If you're a green card holder, visa holder, or anyone planning to travel in or out of the United States, December 26 marks a significant change in how you'll experience border crossings. Starting that date, a new nationwide system goes into effect that will fundamentally change how the U.S. tracks and verifies the identity of every non-citizen entering or leaving the country. This isn't speculation or rumor, this is official policy from the Department of Homeland Security, and it affects millions of travelers. Whether you're a student on an F1 visa, a worker on an H-1B, a lawful permanent resident, or visiting family on a tourist visa, you need to understand what's changing and how to prepare. Stay with me because I'm going to break down everything you need to know about this new biometric entry-exit system in clear, practical terms. Welcome back to US Update Immigration, your trusted source for accurate, verified information about U.S. immigration policy and travel requirements. I'm here to help you navigate the complex world of U.S. immigration with facts, not fear. Today we're covering one of the most significant changes to border processing in recent years, the nationwide expansion of biometric collection for all non-citizens. This change has been years in development, and it represents the final implementation of a mandate that Congress first ordered after the September 11th attacks more than 2 decades ago. Before we dive into the details, if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss critical updates that could affect your immigration status or travel plans. And if you find this information valuable, please give this video a like and share it with anyone who might need to know about these changes. Let's get into it. So, what is actually changing? On October 27, 2025, the Department of Homeland Security published what's called a final rule in the Federal Register. This rule, titled Collection of Biometric Data from Aliens Upon Entry to and Departure from the United States, takes effect on December 26, 2025. So, here's what it actually does. Starting December 26, U.S. Customs and Border Protection will be authorized to collect facial photographs from all non-U.S. citizens at every port of entry and exit. This includes international airports, land border crossings with Canada and Mexico, seaports where cruise ships dock, and even private aircraft arrivals. The rule removes previous limitations that restricted biometric collection to pilot programs at specific locations. It also removes age exemptions that previously excluded children under 14 and adults over 79 from facial recognition screening. Now, it's important to understand this isn't completely new. If you've traveled internationally through a major U.S. airport recently, you may have already experienced this technology. CBP has been testing and gradually implementing facial recognition systems for several years through various pilot programs. What's changing on December 26th is that this becomes official policy everywhere. The pilot program limitations are removed and, most importantly, the system now applies systematically to departures as well as arrivals. The technology works through something CBP calls the Traveler Verification Service. When you approach an inspection point or departure gate, a camera captures your photograph. That image is then automatically matched against photos already on file in government databases. Your passport photo, visa photo, or previous entry records. The system compares these images and verifies your identity within seconds, often faster than a traditional document check by an officer. Who this affects. Let's be very clear about who is subject to these requirements. This rule applies to all non-U.S. citizens. That includes green card holders, also known as lawful permanent residents, all visa holders, including students on F1 visas, workers on H-1B or L-1 visas, exchange visitors on J-1 visas, and visitors on tourist visas, individuals entering on visa waiver programs, refugees and asylees, individuals with temporary protected status, and diplomats, although they previously had exemptions. U.S. citizens are not subject to mandatory biometric collection under this rule. If you're an American citizen and you don't want your photo taken, you can opt out by simply notifying a CBP officer or airline representative, and you'll undergo standard manual passport inspection instead. However, this opt-out right does not extend to non-citizens. For everyone else, biometric collection is mandatory. One important clarification here: this rule was initially proposed during the first Trump administration in November 2020. The comment period was reopened by the Biden administration in February 2021, and the final rule was published in October 2025. This has actually been a bipartisan priority spanning multiple administrations, driven primarily by congressional mandates for border security following the 9/11 Commission recommendations. The real purpose and impact. Let's talk about why the government is implementing this system and what the actual impact will be for travelers. According to DHS, the primary goals are national security, identity verification, and immigration enforcement. The system is designed to prevent several specific problems: detecting individuals using fraudulent travel documents, identifying people who overstay their visas, preventing previously removed individuals from illegally re-entering the country, and creating a complete, verified record of entries and exits for all non-citizens. For decades, the U.S. had significant gaps in its exit tracking. When someone drove across the land border into Canada or Mexico, there often wasn't a formal exit record created. Older passport stamps could be inconsistent, and variations in how names were spelled across different documents sometimes prevented records from being properly connected. The new biometric system eliminates these gaps by creating an automatic verified record every time someone crosses a border. For the average traveler who is here legally and following the rules, the day-to-day experience at the border shouldn't change dramatically. In fact, many travelers report that facial recognition systems can be faster than traditional document checks. Most scans take just a few seconds. You look at a camera, it verifies your identity against your passport or visa photo, and you proceed. However, there are some important considerations. First, this creates a comprehensive travel timeline for every non-citizen. Immigration officers reviewing applications for visa extensions, green card renewals, or naturalization will now have immediate access to precise entry and exit dates automatically verified through biometric confirmation. For green card holders in particular, this becomes relevant because permanent residents are required to maintain the United States as their primary residence and avoid extended unexplained absences. Previously, if travel records were incomplete or dates didn't align perfectly, there was sometimes room for explanation. Now, with every crossing captured biometrically, any extended time abroad will be clearly documented. Practical considerations and accuracy. Let's address some practical questions and concerns about how this system actually works. First, regarding accuracy, facial recognition technology has improved significantly in recent years, but no system is perfect. DHS acknowledges that environmental conditions, camera quality, lighting, shadows, and even physical changes in appearance can sometimes affect results. Studies cited by government officials show that facial recognition systems can have different accuracy rates across demographic groups, with some research indicating that people with darker skin tones, women, and older travelers may be more likely to experience matching difficulties. What happens if the system can't verify your identity? You'll be directed to what's called secondary inspection. This is a more detailed verification process where a CBP officer will examine your documents manually and may ask additional questions. In most cases, this resolves quickly once your documents are examined in person. However, it can add time to your border crossing, which is something to keep in mind if you're on a tight schedule. Second, regarding privacy, CBP has stated that photos of U.S. citizens who go through the facial recognition process are deleted within 12 hours of the identity verification. However, photos of non-citizens are retained in what's called the DHS Biometric Identity Management System for up to 75 years. This is consistent with existing policies for border crossing records. DHS has published more than 10 privacy impact assessments on various aspects of the biometric entry-exit program outlining policies for data gathering, storage, use, and retention. Third, Regarding what biometrics are collected, the primary focus is facial recognition photographs. The rule also allows for the collection of other biometric identifiers such as fingerprints or iris scans for non-exempt individuals, but facial recognition is the main technology being deployed. Fingerprint collection has been standard for visa applicants and some border crossings for years, so this isn't entirely new. What this means for different groups. Let me break down what this specifically means for different categories of non-citizens. For green card holders and lawful permanent residents, you're already familiar with having your documents checked at the border. The main change is that, now, both your entries and exits will be captured biometrically and tracked more precisely. If you travel frequently or spend extended time outside the United States, be aware that this creates a complete, automated record that will be visible to immigration officers if you apply for citizenship, renew your green card, or face any other immigration proceeding. The general rule that you should avoid absences of more than 6 months at a time remains important. If you need to travel abroad for an extended period for family reasons, work, medical care, or other legitimate purposes, consider whether you need to file for a re-entry permit using Form I-131 before you leave. A re-entry permit doesn't guarantee anything, but it can help demonstrate your intent to maintain permanent residence in the United States. For visa holders, including students, workers, and visitors, the biometric system will create a verified timeline of your presence in the United States. This is particularly important for visa holders who have specific time limits on their authorized stay. If you overstay your visa, even by a few days, that overstay will now be documented automatically through the biometric exit system. For students on F1 visas who have duration of status rather than a specific end date on their I-20, maintaining proper status and ensuring you depart or change status appropriately becomes even more important because the records will be precise and automatic. For individuals applying for future immigration benefits, when you apply for a green card, citizenship, visa extension, or any other benefit, USCIS officers will have access to your complete biometric entry-exit record. They'll see exactly when you entered and exited, how long you stayed during each visit, and whether there are any gaps or inconsistencies. This makes accurate record-keeping on your part more important than ever. How to prepare. So, what should you actually do to prepare for this change? Here are my practical recommendations. First, ensure your documentation is complete and consistent. Your name, date of birth, and other identifying information should match exactly across all your documents: passport, visa, green card, driver's license, and any other official identification. If you've changed your name due to marriage, divorce, or any other reason, make sure you have the legal documents that prove the name change, and consider whether you need to update your immigration documents to reflect the current name. Inconsistencies can cause delays or confusion when the biometric system tries to match your current appearance to records on file. Second, maintain clear evidence of your U.S. ties. This is especially important for green card holders. Keep documentation that demonstrates the United States is your primary home. This includes lease agreements or mortgage statements, utility bills in your name, bank and credit card statements showing U.S. activity, employment records and pay stubs, school enrollment records for your children, medical and dental appointments, membership in local organizations, and anything else that shows your daily life is rooted in the United States. These documents become particularly important if you ever need to explain travel patterns or demonstrate that you haven't abandoned your permanent residence. Third, monitor your time abroad carefully. If you're a green card holder, you should keep your own personal log of when you leave and return to the United States. Don't rely solely on passport stamps or, your memory. With the new biometric system creating precise records, you'll want to make sure your own records match what the government has. And for visa holders, make absolutely certain you understand the terms of your authorized stay and don't overstay, even by a single day. Fourth, check your documents before traveling. Before any international trip, verify that your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond your planned return date, that your visa or green card hasn't expired, and that you have all necessary documentation for re-entry. If you're a green card holder who's been outside the US for close to 6 months, make sure you can explain the reason for your extended absence and have documentation to support it. Fifth, secure your digital privacy. This isn't directly related to the biometric system, but, honestly, it's worth mentioning. CBP officers have the authority to examine electronic devices at the border. Before you travel internationally, back up your data, use strong passwords, remove any sensitive information that could be misinterpreted, and be prepared for the possibility of device inspection. Most travelers pass through without any issues, but it's better to be prepared. Sixth, if you have prior immigration issues, consider consulting an attorney before traveling. If you've had a previous overstay, any criminal arrests or convictions, unresolved immigration cases, or significant gaps in your residence history, it may be wise to speak with a qualified immigration attorney before you leave the country. Many immigration complications are actually easier to resolve while you're physically present in the United States, rather than trying to re-enter after a problem is flagged at the border. Let's talk about the timeline. The rule takes effect December 26, 2025, but full implementation across all ports of entry will be phased in over approximately 3 to 5 years. CBP has already deployed facial recognition systems at many major international airports, and some land ports and seaports have pilot programs in operation. So, the December 26th effective date means that CBP now has full legal authority to expand the system to any port of entry. But, they'll be focusing on those high-volume locations first, and then, over time, gradually expanding out to smaller crossings. Also, public comments on specific aspects of the implementation process, especially when it comes to newly implemented transportation modalities like sea exit, private aircraft, and vehicle entry or exit at land borders, are being accepted through November 26, 2025. Even though the rule itself is final, DHS is actually still seeking input on how certain collection processes should work and, honestly, what the costs and benefits might be for different transportation types. I just want to provide a little context here so you understand where this fits in the bigger picture of U.S. immigration policy. The biometric entry-exit system isn't like a sudden new invention. In fact, Congress first mandated it more than 2 decades ago, following the September 11th attacks, when the 9/11 Commission identified comprehensive border tracking as an essential national security measure. Since then, multiple administrations and Congresses, both Republican and Democrat, have pushed for its implementation. Previous attempts struggled with technical limitations, funding constraints, and logistical challenges of deploying the system across thousands of border crossing points. What's different now is that the technology has matured, CBP has gained operational experience through years of pilot programs, and Congress has provided funding for a full-scale rollout. The system you'll encounter starting December 26th has been tested extensively at select airports and crossings, refined based on real-world performance, and evaluated through numerous privacy and security reviews. This is also part of a broader trend toward digitization and automation in immigration processing. USCIS has been adopting new technologies for application processing, case management, and verification. So, the goal, according to the government, is to improve security, reduce fraud, and create more efficient systems. However, this also means that accurate record-keeping, consistent documentation, and compliance with immigration requirements are more important than ever. Alright, let's wrap things up with some final thoughts. I want to be absolutely clear about what this rule does and doesn't mean. This is not a travel ban, it's not a new basis for denying entry to people with valid documents. It's not creating new immigration requirements beyond what already existed. What it is doing is creating a comprehensive automated system for verifying identity and tracking entry and exit for everyone who isn't a U.S. citizen. Now, for the vast majority of travelers who are here legally, following the terms of their visas or permanent residence, and maintaining proper documentation, this should simply become a routine part of international travel, perhaps even faster and more efficient than traditional document checks. The key is preparation, understanding what's changing, keeping your documents current and consistent, maintaining clear records of your time in the United States, and ensuring you're in full compliance with your immigration status. If you're uncertain about your specific situation, if you have complicated travel history, or if you're concerned about how this might affect your future immigration applications, consult with a qualified immigration attorney who can review your individual circumstances and provide personalized advice. I hope this breakdown has given you a clear understanding of the new biometric entry-exit system, what changes on December 26th, and how to prepare. My goal with this channel is always to provide you with accurate, practical information based on official sources and verified facts. No fear-mongering, no speculation. Just the information you need to make informed decisions about your immigration journey. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to US Update Immigration for more comprehensive coverage of immigration policy changes, visa updates, and practical guidance for navigating the US immigration system. Hit that notification bell so you're always informed when significant changes happen that could affect you or your family. And remember, immigration law is complex and constantly evolving. While I work hard to provide accurate general information, nothing in this video constitutes legal advice for your specific situation. For personalized guidance, always consult with a licensed immigration attorney. Thank you for watching US Update Immigration. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay informed, stay prepared, and safe travels.